Hello and welcome to our exclusive webinar on investment funds, a smarter and cost-effective choice for Golden Visa 2022. So my name is Rahim Lakhani, signing from Lisbon. I'm the moderator for today's evening. We at the Lakhani Group invest in real estate and our service-focused family office dedicated in embracing values, bringing shared wealth for the beneficiaries. So let us start our webinar by viewing an amazing video on Portugal. Yeah.
Why do so many investors fall in love with Lisboa? Easy. There's no other city that combines this beautiful view with the beauty of these numbers. Lisboa is the closest European capital to the United States, South America and Africa, with 250 departures every day, and being the only capital in mainland Europe sharing the same time zone with the British capital, with more than 300 days of sunshine throughout the year. Lisboa is surrounded by more than 20 wonderful golf courses, only 4 train stations away from the beach, and just 1 hour drive from Nazaré, home of the biggest waves on the planet. Selected to be the 2020 European Green Capital, Lisboa transforms ecological concerns into reality, being the first European city to have a municipal fleet where 100% of light vehicles are electric, a huge recharging network with more than 540 stations, and 100% of the city lights running with LED technology. Innovation and adaptation are part of the mindset, with 90 colleges that produce 30,000 graduates a year, with 60% of them in business, tech or math degrees. No wonder Lisboa attracts global investment from all around the globe into our entrepreneurial community, an ecosystem dedicated to helping new businesses, where 2 new startups are created every day. With more than 100 co-working spaces spread all over Lisboa, and with a 90-kilometer bike lane that reaches all corners of the city. It's so easy to enjoy the view commuting to work using one of the 2,150 shared bikes and 5,500 soft mobility vehicles. How about this? Lisboa is well known as a city that embraces diversity and welcomes all kinds of races, ethnicities, and religious beliefs. All that in a city with 7 Michelin-starred restaurants, and this sunset included. So, how about investing in Lisboa? Lisboa, the beautiful side of business.
Wow, amazing. I think after viewing this beautiful video on Portugal and such diversity which is highlighted here, it's time to meet our diverse and dynamic group of panelists that we have. So our first panelist is Madalena, who is a lawyer and partner at NSM Law. She is a postgraduate in e-commerce, faculty of law at University of Lisboa. She speaks fluently different kinds of languages like Portuguese, English, and Italian. And talking about NSM Law is an expert in Golden Visa proceedings and nationality, litigation, arbitration, criminal, family and inheritance law. Till date, they have represented more than 400 clients for Golden Visa all around the world. So welcome, Madalena, to our webinar.
Hello. Hi, Afsana. Thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you, Rahim, and all the Lakhani group for the invitation to participate in this webinar. It's always a big pleasure to help out the Lakhani group to educate their audience to the Golden Visa in Portugal. We always take a very big pride on how Portugal is advertised in the world. As a Portuguese, I always say that every time I see that everybody's happy with my country, I'm always like, yes. And well, considering the themes that you asked me to bring out to this meeting, basically that consist in the new changes that were implemented since January 1st of 2022. I'm going to reduce these changes to the real estate options and to the fund option. The property option was reduced. The scope of the property option was reduced quite a bit. So currently we have the options available of the commercial properties throughout all Portugal. We still don't have any restrictions on that matter. And it's just a brief introduction on what the changes are. And the fund option, there was an increase for the 500,000 euros. Regarding the habitational properties, they are the properties that are eligible are the properties that are located in the interior areas of Portugal, and there are still no restrictions. We have the same amounts, and that can be reduced by 20% if these properties are located in an area of Portugal that is considered low density. This means less than 100 people per square kilometer. After making the investment in one of these options, you are eligible for the Golden Visa, and according to the slide that you have here, it gives you the right to live and to work in Portugal, to travel without asking for any kind of visa throughout the Schengen area. It's one of the most powerful passports in the world because it gives you visa-free access to more than 185 countries. And the advantage of the Golden Visa is the requirement that only obligates to stay in Portugal at least 7 days per year. On the contrary, all the other kind of permit residences that we have, they demand people outside of the European Union to move physically to Portugal. Between one of these investments, you can include your spouse, your kids, until 30 under some conditions, if they are still dependent on you. You can add your parents and your parents-in-law. So it's quite a big number of family members that you can put inside one application. And regarding the way that the process goes, the process is fully submitted in an online platform of the Immigration Office that makes a pre-analysis of the documents that were submitted. There are some details of the documents that I can explain to anyone that is hearing in more detail after the meeting, but we submit everything online. The Immigration Office makes a pre-analysis of the application, and after that, the Immigration Office that changed a bit the procedure since the beginning of the year, they are calling out people to come for the biometrics instead of making us book the appointments. After the biometrics, if everything is okay, usually the Immigration Office, now the processes are flowing a bit faster since the biometrics are done, and they take a bit around 4 to 5 months to be fully analyzed. The cards are going to be issued for a period of 2 years for everybody in the family, and the renewals of the main applicant are for a period of 2 years, and the renewals of the dependents have a period of 3 years. The Portuguese Golden Visa is a residency by investment program that leads you to the Portuguese citizenship after the end of 5 years, and that's from that perspective you are able to apply in Portugal for the citizenship, and we need to prove that you had a legal card in Portugal for at least 5 years and that you speak Portuguese in an A2 level test. These are the requirements. The process, from my perspective, it's still very straightforward. It's still very attractive from my views, because it's one of the most searched programs in Europe due to the minimum stay requirements. And we had of course, some difficulties in the moment of COVID, but since now we are all getting used to the idea that COVID is a reality, the Immigration Office is starting now to work, and we see some developments from that perspective. This is more or less a general overview about what is the Golden Visa and what is the process. And of course, Deepak, maybe you can I can pass you the word for you to also, the process by yourself. So it's a review that you can make on first person.
Yep.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Madalena, for highlighting the important aspects about Golden Visa and its processes. I would request all the attendees to please post your questions on the chat box. And after our webinar is done, like once we speak to all of our panelists, we'll have raise of hands, I can see, but we'll answer to the questions towards the end of our webinar. Thank you so much, Madalena. And I would like to now have our attention towards our second panelist, Mr. Deepak Ahuja, and who is a partner at Green Shores Capital Limited, a UK-based FCA authorized venture capital firm, a co-investment growth hub typically investing in pre-Series A and Series A firms. He is also founder and involved in promoting UK-based tech startups, incubating a marketing tech app, the travel and lifestyle industry, as well as property management. He's an experienced banker, worked with renowned banks like Barclays, Citibank in high-ranking positions. He's an investment council member, AU Capital Partners, a venture capital fund focused on IoT, smart cities, fintech. So we are proud to welcome Mr. Ahuja to our webinar.
Thank you, Afsana, for that kind introduction. I didn't realize it was that long. I need to make it short. And guys, I'm glad to be here. I'm an advisor to the Lakhani Group. And today I sit in a position wherein I was just like you last year. So Rahim asked me to come and speak about my experiences as somebody who's gone through the process, like Madalena mentioned. And it coincidentally happens that Madalena had handled my application process. So I'm going to speak about that. So if you jump to the next slide, Rahim was asking me why I've taken on Portugal. And Madalena just mentioned exactly some of the similar points. I already hold a British passport. Having said that, I still felt the need to have a passport that gave me access to Europe. I went through many countries and I decided on Portugal primarily because it gives you a very strong and stable environment on many fronts. It begins with a stable government. It begins with fantastic infrastructure. It begins with a very good quality of life that you get in this part of the world. And coming from the UK, weather plays an important role. You get good weather. And it's got a very strong passport following. It's got lots of people obviously applying for it for this same specific reason. And very importantly, having just to stay 7 days where I don't have to wrap up my fund in the UK and come here, that gives me great amount of flexibility. So I do think for expats, with all these factors that come into the picture, including education for the children, the food, the roads, the network, the connectivity, I mean, it just has you right there. So that was primarily the reason why I chose to come to Portugal over other countries. So my investment journey in Portugal, I come from a real estate background. Besides being a banker, my focus used to be real estate. And what I notice is in Portugal, there is a lot of activity in the real estate world. And it just seemed logical for me. What you have on this slide is a lot of my corporate background. I won't be getting into that because Afsana has already mentioned it. But really speaking, for me, it's been pretty smooth. NSM law made it very easy for me. Everything happened very quickly. And I'm pretty happy that I chose to do Portugal over other destinations. I've already invested in a fund. This was much before TLG kicked off their fund. So I've invested in another fund and I've already got my residency card, which Madalena worked on. So really, that's a little brief synopsis of me. I'm still available on the seminar. I'll be answering questions that will come my way on my experience further. Thank you.
Afsana, if there are any questions actually that I think we have received some. So before we go on to the next segment, maybe ask those questions while we have, because I know some of the speakers also have a hard deadline. So maybe ask those questions along the way.
Yeah, I think there is one question for Madalena, if I can cater to that, if permission is granted. So one question about, do the candidates after 5 years, when they are on their final stage to get the Portuguese, I guess, passport, do they need to speak Portuguese level? Like what kind of level do they should be on to receive their passport?
I was on mute. Well, the applicants, one of the documents that supports the citizenship application is the proof that you were approved in an A2 Portuguese level test. This is one of the documents that we need to submit together with the application. Before the process enters, we need to gather all these documents.
All right. Thank you so much for catering to that question. I think another one is for Mr. Ahuja, and it states about, do you think that the Golden Visa is still a good option even though the law changed? In 2022, some investors might think that their options are not that wide enough. I think maybe Madalena or Mr. Ahuja both can cater to this question. One is about Golden Visa, another is about investment. So you both can talk about it.
Madalena first.
Okay, well, I do think it's still a good option. I think that even though we have some different rules regarding what investments qualify, we still have good opportunities here in Portugal in terms of investment. The process is still the same, so it's not a change that consists in making people live more time in Portugal or stay a bit longer here. So the main characteristics of the program, they are still the same, the advantages. Regarding the options of the investment, I think that we, as I said, are still a country of great opportunities. Deepak, this is a bit more regarding your field, so on the investment perspective. So I will leave this question to you.
Look, the way I would look at it is, first, you've got to understand why you're coming to Portugal. You're coming here for a stable passport. So amongst a lot of countries that you're studying right now, Portugal offers the stability and safety. It's a European nation. It's a very developed nation. You may compare it with other nations in the Caribbean, but you've got to understand the stability that exists within this environment. So you decide on Portugal. You may compare with the other options that are available in Europe, but this one gives you 2-3 things that others don't. These people in Portugal have created a wonderful system where you have to stay only for 7 days in the year. Now that works for everybody. 2, a lot of the investors typically may take advantage of the non-habitual residence tax benefits that follow. I think you should take that into account also, besides the other factors which I spoke of earlier. Moreover, this country has been growing at a pretty fast pace, and real estate, which is the asset class most VC funds talk about, has been growing pretty good. The government has shifted focus from Lisbon and Porto to the other areas, and now you're going to see tremendous growth there. So for me, looking at this country as a whole and understanding this as an option for a passport, look at it in conjunction with the investment. It's not about making an investment. You could make it anywhere. But what you're getting here is a very stable passport that you can take home. So I think from those points, to me personally, if I was to invest again, I think I would look at Portugal for myself. So that's how I would look at it.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahuja and Madalena, for answering. We have another question from Scott, who is asking, what have been the results of current funds as the investment is not guaranteed? So if Mr. Ahuja would like to highlight any perspectives about it.
Look, I've invested in a fund last year, so I can speak about that. TLG are launching their fund now. No fund guarantees you any returns. You've got to understand that. You've got to choose the fund after doing due diligence on 2 aspects. One is the team that's going to manage your money, and 2, the assets that they're going to invest in. So you have to treat it like any other investment. You're not going to come across a fund who says we are guaranteeing you that your 500,000 is going to become $1 million or 700. No one can use that.
If you see that, you should run away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So from an investment perspective, you do your due diligence on the team, on the assets, make sure you're comfortable with that. I interviewed close to 8-10 funds last year, and a lot of them were not still ready in terms of knowing what they're going to do with the funds, because Portugal is a growing country right now. So if you come to a team which has got a great track record, which knows what they're doing, I mean, I personally have seen TLG's assets that they're looking at. It does give me some comfort. Do not treat this as advice, but I'm just making an observation. So look at the team, look at the assets, and take a decision. It's going to be your decision. No one's going to guarantee anything.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahuja, for highlighting certain important highlights on it. So we have another panelist who we want to bring on board, and such diverse group that we have got. So we've got Avani Shah, who is the founder and CEO of Villa Cerrado, Fontainhas, a beautiful site in Lisbon. She's a lover of art and culture, and entrepreneur in the area of hospitality, event management, and catering, with specialization in Indian, Portuguese, and continental food. She's also a partner to restaurant in Calcuta restaurant and Verride Santa Catarina Hotel, advisor to Portugal Opportunity Fund, as well as TLG SCR Fund. And she's very passionate about music, painting, sculpting, and cooking. So welcome to our webinar, Avani. Over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Afsana, first of all, thank you so much. All the panelists, all the people who are watching, thank you so much for having me. I've been dealing, Afsana already told a lot of things about me. I'm a Gemini and it's jack of all and master of none, you can say. No, it's not, I don't think it's correct, but yeah. So I have been in Portugal since last 20 years. I came as a normal immigrant, and now I'm dealing with all such things. So you can imagine how Portugal is easy to work with, how people are, the resilience is so high here, and people are so nice to have us at any point. If you are just not thinking about investment, and if you are looking to come here and stay, this is the country. I can say I'm an Indian. I lived in India all my life, my 24 years, but now I don't want to leave Portugal. So basically speaking about tourism in Portugal, it's just booming. Throughout this 2 years of pandemic, of course, we had a big loss in tourism industry, but till 2019, we were like top of the Europe. You can say we were becoming the first best city for tourism. There are many factors. I don't know because I just entered a little late. I don't know whether somebody already informed. But apart from atmosphere, apart from gastronomy, apart from the best beaches in the world, we have. I'm sorry, I'm getting. I'm hearable. I mean,
Yes.
You can hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
This is the best country to live for me right now. This project of Cerrado das Fontainhas came in my in hand in 2008, and we have been working literally 90% occupancy till 2019. And then we started to expand to the spa center and event center and more houses for the for tourism. And we are almost booked, you can say, for this year. Even if we are having many bureaucracies of the what you can say for the development areas, but still the Portugal is easy to go ahead, easy to talk with the ministry level, even in the municipality parishes. They are so you can say welcoming for strangers, for outsiders, and the work became really easy for us, and we could manage to bring out whole project in 2 years, only in 2 years. So for me, this is a piece of art. We have made it here. You can see by photos, we have a beautiful event house for 200 people, 6 villas inside, and of course, a beautiful spa center where Indian therapies, we are looking forward for it. Of course, a lot of people are going to get work from it. Yeah, so that's it. If anybody have any question regarding the villa, or this is our, you can see on photos, our apartments. In the gym we have, sorry?
It looks beautiful from here, yeah.
Thank you. And it has been decorated by one of the best interior designer of the country. She's more dealing with countryside projects. And of course, nowadays, government has stopped fund to the main cities like Lisbon and Porto. So we are going to interiors, and which is interiors of the Portugal. I think it's most unique and beautiful areas which you can explore. Otherwise, you go to whole Europe, you can see the same thing everywhere. In the bigger cities, now everything has become cosmo. So if you want to have a richness of the country, you have to go to interior. So, and nowadays, this is what Portugal is developing in these areas.
So yes, talking about the post-COVID situation now, do you see hospitality and tourism industry booming in this year, in 2022?
It is because people have not traveled since last 2 years. They are just struggling to travel. Many people, they have postponed their weddings. So not only weddings, but normal events of their lives. So they are like, we have, people are asking, can we have in the morning and afternoon, evening and, lunch and dinners, both different events? I said, it's impossible. I can have one party in the afternoon, and it's not UK. It's Portugal. We have to enjoy the event. So up to that extent, we are working. So yeah, it's really going good.
That's
and
amazing.
we have been lots of inquiries for the tourism industry, for the corporates from outside, destination corporates. So that is also already started, which is very good, which we haven't been hearing since last 2 years. In 2019, we had like lots of, I can say myself attended Indian conferences, more than 12. Not attended, we cater from for them. And this year now, at least, because last year also they have started with the inquiries, and now things are actually happening, it seems. People, they don't have, no more they are having a pain of this thing, pandemic. It seems we are releasing.
Interesting. I think not just from the operations point of view, I think you've got wide range of experience with regards to developing the touristic property as well. So talking about that, can you in brief share your experience being a real estate developer in Portugal? What are the opportunities that you foresee in this industry? And what are the challenges, like, do you think could be on the people's way?
What are the challenges you said on the?
So I mean to ask that what are the opportunities as a real estate developer, being that you have developed this touristic industry? So how was your experience like?
It's full of opportunity, we can say, because Portugal is being developed after 2012 for tourism, for European tourism, and for American tourism. You can say increment was like more than 60%. So the hotels we are having right now, and the bigger conferences and bigger things are happening recently in Portugal, are unable to, there were less hospitality, hotels were less in compared to people were coming. So it's in full need, even if it's been, because now we have to go to interiors, and even if we are making more properties in interior, it's definitely going to work, because Portugal is becoming a hub for Occidental and Oriental, in between. It's a main hub for to manage, to begin with. Yeah,
absolutely. And
making a new, sorry, Afsana, to develop a new thing in Portugal, for me, I didn't find any problem. It was quite easy.
And you having the property very close to Lisbon area, right? I think it's almost in the heart of the city.
Yes.
And that blesses you with that charm of like coming to that place, giving you those vibes. And also it's very close to airport, and it's very close to Lisbon, the main urban area.
We are in the center of Lisbon, Sintra and Cascais. Airport is just 15 minutes away from here. Yeah. So, and beaches are just 15 minutes away from here. So and we are in the greens. We are with golf. So it's a beautiful property we developed here, and looking forward to develop many more. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Avani. Thanks for being a part of the webinar. So over to our next and final panelist, we have Mr. Rahim Lakhani, who is proud to present 25 million euro venture capital fund named 7X, which is a golden visa immigration and investment solution managed by the Lakhani Group Capital SCR. He is the president and CEO of the Lakhani Group, also a seasoned real estate investor that owns and operates a multi-million-dollar portfolio of properties in Portugal, Canada, USA, and in India. He has extensive field experience in managing large, big-scale projects at Bruce Nuclear Power, and Ontario Power Generation. He worked extensively in European, American, Canadian, and Southeast Asian markets. He's currently investing in the market of distressed assets and restructuring of companies in the advanced operational stages. Mr. Lakhani holds a degree in engineering from University of Waterloo, Canada, and has obtained certification in marketing of credit or to consumers, marketing of mortgage credit and credit intermediation, and has applied for licensing with regards to Bank of Portugal for the same and received it. He is also the ex-chairman of Jubilee Real Estate Alliance in Ontario. So we are proud to have him as our panelist. And yes, here you go.
Thank you so much, Afsana. Deepak, I agree with you. These guys really have some really long, winded introductions. So next time, I think we're gonna have to, scissor it down. But thank you.
Forgot another one. He's my husband as well.
Yes. That's the most important introduction, actually. So thank you so much, guys. And I think we have such an excellent group of people here with varied experiences and backgrounds. I really wanted, this kind of mix here because I think Avani brings a very important part to the puzzle, which is, developing a property from ground to operational stage in the same sector that we prefer in terms of investments. So it was actually great to see her journey over the last 2-3 years and how she has actually shaped the business along even during tough times. And then on the swing side, it's very interesting to have Deepak on the platform to kind of see how the fund side can actually bring and boost the types of projects that Avani and TLG also invests in. And of course, Madalena is just the topping on everything, which, free passports for everyone, so while you invest. So this has been great. Thank you so much. I'll go into the presentation, but I'll also, keep in mind the time. So I do want some questions to be answered, but what we have here is a fund. 7X is what we call. It is a fund that is that complies with the laws of the government, the Portuguese Securities Commission. And in your screen here, you see the management team of the Lakhani Group, and several years of experience. I think combined we have 100 years of experience and lots of gray hair. So, we've done our due diligence, we've done our homework in sense that we have international expertise from India, from Canada, from the US, and now being investing in Portugal for the last 3.5-4 years. So definitely I'll showcase to you some of the assets that we've invested in. So you can see the kind of strength and the kind of portfolio that we bring together. Before that, I'd like to give you some confidence, something that Deepak mentioned earlier. It's not just, which fund does better or can you guarantee my investments. It's really about the people behind, okay? And we are really super blessed to have an excellent management supervisory board that has, probably another 100 years of experience and another set of gray hair in the fields of taxation, in the fields of accounting, in the fields of legality in Portugal, and auditing as well. So we're truly blessed to have this supervisory board in front of you to guide us and navigate us into the regulatory framework and to essentially assist in the development of what we call as the TLG SCR, the capital group and the fund 7X itself. But more so, we also have an amazing team of the fund investment by the two of them are here. So Deepak has graciously accepted, and so has Avani graciously accepted to be on the board. One of our board members who's based out in Dubai, we'll have him shortly as well on one of these sessions on these panels, so you can ask any questions on the international exposure of the investment advisory board, and that's the kind of board we like to have, so that they can guide us into the investment decision makings for 7X. and keep us strong with our vision of growth, of stability, of having kept that confidence for the next 7 years from the investors. These pictures are just to kind of impress upon you on the assets that we own and manage on a short-term or a long-term basis. 3 of them on the left-hand side are in Lisbon. The one on the right-hand side is close to Carcavelos, which is about 15 minutes away. We basically invest in either short-term hospitality or long-term apartments, and that has been our track record in Portugal. We have just invested in a very large-scale villa project as well, which I'll show you next. And the idea behind 7X is exactly that. We are not going to be making investments in areas that we have no experiences in, no track record in. We will stick to what we know, and hospitality and villa development and student housing is what we have done over the last since '83. And that is exactly what we plan to do in the years coming ahead. Of course, different in location, difference in geography, but the basics always remains the same. So that's what our experience, at least here in Portugal, is. A lot of people have asked us what 7X really stands for, and I think one of the things that we want to tell you is that we are a huge fans of Grant Cardone, for those people who know him. And there's one thing that he's mentioned and is stuck with the board very early on, and it says if you're not making money while sleeping, you'll die working. And that alludes to, very simply, investment in assets that produce you a passive rental income, and hence the birth of 7X, which basically says that as the management team, we aim to ensure that the investors' funds are being put to good use every single day of the week. Of course, with the professionalism that we bring and with the excellence that we bring to the team, and also to the management, and also open to being adaptive and taking in the constructive feedback. And of course, the arrow very simply shows that we are in Portugal to move ahead, move forward, and to achieve new heights. Okay. So I think one of the questions actually was also 7X. I'm not going to go too much detail on it, but one of the most important points that makes us different from other funds is no complex structures. Okay, so this is something on the right-hand side. When you look at our fund and you analyze the differences between this fund and the other funds, simply said, a lot of funds out there has this notion of making things very complex, and sometimes not being able to understand how the asset managers are making money, how the asset managers are being compensated. And this is something that we take great pride in, and that really just alludes to the transparency that we have for the investors. So upfront on how we make money, what are we in for, and what do the investors get in the end. So that is something that we take great pride in, and something for people to compare when they compare one fund to the other. Okay, so to give you the confidence, there is a link on the bottom that one can click on, go to the CMVM website, and also see that we are a registered entity from the government, and our licensing is posted on the website itself. Okay. So what are funds is one question that people sometimes don't understand. So very simply, funds are just a fancier way of putting investments into companies that then invests in individual investments. Like it could be hotels, it could be apartment building, it could be a company that invests in logistics. So there could be anything, or it could just be a joint venture partnership between the fund itself and the entity that it's being invested in. So there are hundreds of ways where the fund can actually enter an investment. And so this is the true nature of what a VC structure would look like. we make a very stark difference because we are not a real estate fund, and also real estate funds are not authorized by immigration to be qualified for Golden Visa. So hence, if you are looking to for a pure real estate fund, then you would probably not get qualified for the Golden Visa. So hence we have created a structure that is a VC structure. Okay, and that's very simply, that's how the funds actually roll from the investors down into the companies. Okay. I have 4 examples that I'd like to show you on what kind of projects that we have invested in and what kind of projects that the fund will invest in. So our first investment is into the development of Quinta de Porto Velho, which is a 40-acre site here that consists of 36 villas already built. About 70 to 75% construction is completed. And the villas will be delivered by the end of this year. So the fund will make a joint venture into this particular assets for the development of this as phase 1, but also into the future developments of the site in developing future villas. And as you know, something that has come constantly is when with COVID and whatnot, villas are becoming really prominent. They have a lot of land associated with it. There is that privacy that's associated with it. This particular project is only 10 minutes away from Lisbon Airport, 10-12 minutes. So great distance to the city while living a sort of an interior lifestyle and a more service lifestyle as well. So definitely check us out and reach out to us if you'd like to get a tour of this site. You can also get qualified for the Golden Visa if you want to purchase a villa directly as well. So that's another option for investors. This is a property that we are actually currently in negotiation. It's a 4-star luxury resort, already a stable operational asset. It is off market at the moment, and our intention in this particular one will be to actually go in and do while retaining the operations of it, continue to improve upon the revenue per average room and the ADR of the property itself. So that's our intention with this property. Then we also have another Algarve area luxury hotel that we have an opportunity to do a restructuring of management. And this is also another property that will be is off market. There is a huge possibility of this particular asset to be qualified for the individual 280,000 Golden Visa. So keep if that is something of your interest as well, please keep in touch with us, because very shortly we will also have some discussions on that particular opportunity. This is not in our portfolio just yet, but it's in the works, in the pipeline itself. And something that we already own one building nearby, which is the Nova School of Business and Economics. And this is about 10 minutes from Lisbon. And this university is a large university with 4,500 students already, and a big portion of it are international students. This is where we have currently looked at a potential land for a professionally managed student housing building. That so currently the university has its own dorm, as you can say, about 300 rooms, and it's nowhere near sufficient for Nova in itself and for the growth of the university. So this is an opportunity that we are currently negotiating, and this will be a completely newly built property itself. Okay. So I mentioned earlier something about how we make money, and this is very simply what we like to show you is that in the fund liquidation year, the original return of the 500,000, if you'd like to get your Golden Visa, is given to you. Then there is a profit. Let's call it X%. The initial 30% of that X% always belongs to the investor, and the remaining portion, if there is nothing remaining, then of course there is no split. But our target return is a 7% on the entire fund. So we expect Y% to exist, and on that Y%, the 70% will go to the investor, and the 30% will then act as a performance bonus for the asset manager. So this is a very simple, very straightforward, not complex structure that we have put together for the benefit of our investors. And just in summary, if you'd like to have a golden visa, it's the 500 minimum. If you'd like to invest in the fund, it's 100,000 minimum, and the target rate is a 7%. We charge a 1% assets under management fee annually, and we are US FACTA compliant as well. So for all those American investors, we do know that there are lots of funds that are not. So just be careful of that. And yeah, that's really it in terms of the fund. Back to you, Afsana.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lakhani, for sharing about the 7X fund. Amazing. I think we have a range of questions, some from the attendees and some from me that I want to ask to all of the panelists here. So there are a range of questions, and let me, since Rahim has ended the presentation now, let me first ask you one of the things. What do you think the investors are looking for in the market while now that they are investing in the venture capital fund? What do you think are they looking for?
I can take that question. So we have a very strong pipeline of investors. Not every investor is created equally, of course. Everyone has their own risk tolerance. Some people invest in Bitcoin and they exactly know that there could be none when they wake up tomorrow. And some would like to keep their money in a fixed deposit in a bank and not to be touched for several years. So there is a huge diversification of risk and appetite. But something that is synchronous with what Mr. Ahuja said earlier is the investors that are coming to Portugal, especially for immigration, they are not coming in here for an expectation of really high returns. The wealth preservation is one of the main priority while obtaining their golden visa status. So I think a fund like ours that invests in stable assets and does not take huge risks would be very ideal for those investors.
Thank you, Mr. Rahim, for answering that. And to the attendees, if you have any further questions, either you can raise hand, ask the question, or you can also post it on the chat box and we can try to answer those. So another thing that I would want to ask to Madalena is about what do you think are your views about the new changes effective since this month now about the Golden Visa, and how does it impact the investment of Golden Visa as well as the venture capital fund? I think you're on mute, Madalena.
Well, I'm sorry. I think we are a bit in an early stage to evaluate how these changes have impacted the market. I definitely see that we still have people that are interested in going through the program, and they are still touching bases with what is available and what are the options. The market is organizing a bit now to give options of investments to clients, but I see clients investing in properties that are for commercial purposes for 280K. And regarding the fund option, I still feel that a lot of people that were interested in going through the program in the last year and they couldn't finalize their investments, they also were ready to make a decision of making an investment of 500,000 euros. What I predict in the next months that it will happen is obviously the 280,000 euros option is going to be more appealing to everybody because it's less, it has a lower cost. And the fund option, regarding the fund option, it's still a very good option because it's not very straightforward. The process of investing in a fund is quite more simple than buying a property. But since the amount is a bit higher, I predict that people are going to split their investments through multiple funds. This is what I think that it will happen. But we are still in a very early stage. I believe that we are going to be successful in any way. Just it's a matter of waiting for the market to organize a bit and the options to be more clear so that we can make a conclusion on how this is going to work.
Amazing, amazing. On the similar line, do you think that the investors are more inclined towards the interior region as compared to the commercial properties?
Yes, to be honest, I believe that I see more activity in the interior of Portugal because there are options that are very valid and very good. They are very built to be Golden Visa eligible, so the process is very straightforward on that perspective. For the commercial options, I still see some activity here, but not as much as the properties in the interior. I see a lot of people that are searching for that option, definitely.
Yeah, I think given that interior as well as commercial being the option now that the country is at a developmental stage and is booming this year, then what do you think? Like, why do you think Portugal being an attractive hub for the foreign investment? Why do you think Portugal would be a feasible one for the foreign investors to be attractive towards Golden Visa as compared to the other countries in the European as well as in the world market at large?
Well, I think we have a very good testimony of Avani here in the meeting regarding how Portugal has treated her for the past 20 years. So I believe that we are a very good country because people are, in fact, I don't want to speak because I'm Portuguese, so I'm not going to be very impartial, but I believe that people are very good and very welcoming. We don't have so many issues like other countries in Europe. We have political stability, we have a safe country, access to education, to healthcare. So in terms of advantages, I think it's very competitive. So I still think it's a good option.
Thank you, Madalena. Let's talk to someone who is not a Portuguese here, which is Mr. Ahuja. And what would you recommend to the novice and the new investors who are researching at their initial stage of their investment? What would be your suggestion given with regards to the challenges and the opportunities you might have had last year? I'm sure you might have had a lot of Google links and a lot of research that you have done already. So would be a benefit for our new investors to learn from your experience.
So like I said initially, I would do thorough due diligence on the team. Personally, for me, I had concluded it was Portugal. 2, thorough due diligence on the team, thorough due diligence on the assets that they're going to acquire. Very important to have a good legal team working along with you. I had the fortune of having NSM and Madalena in particular, who assisted me throughout, handheld me right from getting my bank account to NIF number to coming with me for the appointments to the CEF. And all was done in 3 months. So I think if you have these 2-3 aspects of your immigration application working for you, the other challenges that come your way, they're taken over by the team that you're investing in and the legal team who's working along with you. So I think you need to keep that in mind. Once you have that, like I said, all the other aspects of Portugal, which may not be to your satisfaction, where you expect the CEF to be working at breakneck speed or the bank to be working at breakneck speed, which are external features, the investment team in the fund and the legal team take care of everything. So I think that's what you need to do, research carefully and come to a conclusion.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahuja. And given that you have already made your investment and you might have had like a lot of opportunities to invest in the other countries as well. And why Portugal? Like, why did you think of investing in Portugal per se?
Like I mentioned initially, I did research other countries. What I got from Portugal was a stable country, a very strong passport, very good health infrastructure, very good educational infrastructure. It's a good place. The people are very welcoming. You've got to keep that in mind. They welcome you with open arms and they make things easy for you here. So there was nothing I could see that could stop me from here. There were other destinations I explored, such as the Middle East. I explored the Caribbean. I explored other parts, but then my due diligence led me to come to Portugal. And I mentioned initially, you don't have to spend a lot of time and you also have tax benefits. I think that's important. And I would also like to tell everybody, when we come on this webinar, do not confuse a webinar with being an investment financial seminar. You're also looking at a passport. So look at the fact you're getting 2 things in one go. So people get confused sometimes. So you know, someone may turn around and say 7%, but my fund in the United States is giving me 9. Yes, it's giving you 9, but this place is giving you the peace and quietness of having a very developed passport with yourself. So keep that in mind when you're taking a decision.
Yeah. So given that there are so many ways to even go towards achieving the passport per se, so I would like to know that why would you have like having venture capital fund as an option as compared to the other ways of investment that are in the market?
So firstly, the phrase venture capital in most of the world is normally associated with tech companies. I run a venture capital fund in the UK and we invest only in tech. In Portugal, it is seen differently, and it's about investing in companies in Portugal. Now, when I did due diligence on a lot of them, I did feel people who were investing in the property market or the real estate market knew exactly what they were doing. Very often I came across people I interviewed or fund managers I interviewed, me being a fund manager myself, they didn't have a long-term horizon of vision. I personally feel there is a slightly lesser amount of risk when you're looking at property as an asset class, because all said and done, it stays there, it just can't disappear. So that was my experience with venture capital, and that's why I invested in a fund that looks at property. I myself am comfortable with property as an asset class, although I run a tech company in the UK. And that's what my overall experience has been. It's been, I would call it as a good experience.
Yes, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahuja. I have a few final questions for Rahim as well. That do you think like an investor can invest in multiple funds in the same year?
Yes. Given that the minimum is 500,000, you can now actually, if you go on the same website, there's a ton of funds out there. Our fund, of course, takes a minimum of 100, so that must be there. But yes, I mean, technically speaking, you can probably invest in 5 funds now to get qualified, but that would create an absolute nightmare for Madalena, because then she would have to coordinate with 5 different asset managers, and it doesn't even sound like the right thing to do, to be honest, because I think what you are really again achieving is not diversification of diversification. It's just, look at the profile of 1 or 2 funds if you really do need to divide that up, and go with a simple diversification, because even the fund itself then goes and invests in multiple different asset classes and properties and companies. So there is actually diversification happening for your investment. So yeah, I think if you really want to split, then maybe just divide it in half and 250 and 250.
Okay. Thank you so much. And would like to know that why does 7x stands out in the market as compared to the other funds? Like what does 7x has to offer to the...
I've got a hard stop. Can I take an exit? Or are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Ahuja, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Deepak. So in terms of the question that you had, why 7x, I think I'll very simply state the facts that were underlined earlier. We have a very good process that we have established in terms of onboarding, in terms of making sure that everything that is needed for the investors processing of Golden Visa and everything is then covered in a very simplified manner. We have pretty much a no bullshit policy in TLG. So essentially minimizing in terms of the complexities that one can have, and open door policy, so investors can, it's not just coming in once a year and sitting on the AGM, but completely open door policy for investors to come and have a chat with us and discuss with us. And unlike most funds, we are open to feedback and incorporate that into our work culture as well. One of the things that I'll go out and say this, we have been working on an early exit strategy for that will keep us different from other funds, and we've been working on an early exit strategy for investors. Of course, it has to be authorized by the management team, but let's say you have some kind of emergency that you do need to withdraw your funds prior to the maturity of the 7 years. we are here to coordinate that and to assist with that early exit as well. So unlike most funds, which is a complete hard no, this is a possibility with 7X.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Rahim. And talking about the investment, I think there are several investors who are just not just interested into making money, but also moving to the country, and that has boomed the touristic market. And last question to Avani: do you think any investors who are interested in having long-term rental basis tourist properties that you have come across? I don't know if you heard me properly. Do you want me to repeat the question, Avani?
I think we might have lost her. But
yeah,
so
Rahim, would you want to cater to that question?
Could you repeat the question for me?
Yes. So it was about that many people now are thinking of not just investing, but also migrating to the country and wanting to stay for a longer time, not just for those 35 days which are been offered for the Golden Visa. So do you see a sense of people having the touristic villas or touristic properties as an option for long-term rental basis?
Yeah, for sure. I think that covers the real estate part of this conversation. And let's be honest, I'll probably be one of the first guys to say that I like someone to come in every day and do a clean of the house and whatnot. So living in a touristic property makes the most sense. Living in a property where there are services associated with it makes the most sense for busy corporate lifestyles that some of us have, and who doesn't want to live in a property where all these services are provided with a single condominium fee, right? So definitely that is one thing that our newest condominium, Quinta de Porto Velho, provides, and especially for those who live kind of a nomadic lifestyle. While they're working on their unicorn project, they have all the services under their nose. So we're here to take care of them.
All right. Thank you so much for being such an amazing audience, and the panelists for giving us such an informative webinar. I think thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining in. If there are any more questions, do ping us, as well as we have our email ID and the phone number, which is to be projected on the screen here. So please do connect with us. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, panelists, for being such amazing ones. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Afsana.
Thank you. Thank you, Afsana, Rahim, Madalena. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.